So recently, there's been a model that's been developed that I want to share with you. It's interesting because we started with IQ. IQ was emphasized. And recently, around 1995, the discussion started to center more around emotional intelligence. So just recently, models have been developed. So it's really a cognitive science that's recently started. And so now we can explain what we've known for a long time to be true. We didn't have any proof, we didn't have any data. We knew that we can measure IQ, such as memory, learning, and that type of ability. What about feelings and the human element? Now we have data that we can measure those types of things related to emotional intelligence and how that and the impact of that. So Meyer and Salovey have really led the way in that area of emotional intelligence and in developing a model for it. We're also going to use Goleman's model. How many of you have read Goleman's book? So it's a really great book about emotional intelligence. And I apply it when I'm interpreting. I apply that model to my work and to my speeches. And so there's 5 sections to it. The first is self-understanding. So a really great tool I've found is the emotion wheel. So now if I can't just say, "Oh, I feel fine." That's not good enough. Now I have this whole wheel of emotions I can pick from to see, and I can describe how I feel and label it. It's important to understand your emotions. What triggers you? What makes you feel a certain way? Where did it come from now, that emotion, and maybe in the past? Is it something now or in the past? What triggered it? So, how do you regulate emotions? So, if I could enter an interpreting situation, I feel nervous or overwhelmed, or like I might not have a good relationship with that person. What's behind that? How do I regulate that? The point is, how do I fix it? What do I do? How do I act? What action do I take? Do I just react emotionally, or do I slow down and identify what I feel, why I'm feeling it? So no, that knowledge is important. It's important to be in control, know how to respond and how to regulate our emotions and label it. So next, I want to talk about motivation. So what motivates, for example, an interpreter to develop their skills, and then what causes that motivation to crash? So maybe they feel like they have to have an armor on, a mask. So you have to understand your emotions. Where does that motivation come from? If you feel inspired, what makes you feel that way? What makes you feel connected to your community? Why do you wake up every day and go to work? What motivates you? Motivates you to improve and to continue learning. Where does that motivation come from? It comes from emotions. Sometimes we see people withdraw from the profession. They say, "Oh, I'm not involved that much anymore. I'm not learning that much." Where does that come from? From their emotions. Maybe they don't feel involved. They feel isolated. So what's behind that withdrawal? It's important to understand. It's important for you to all recognize other interpreters that we partner with. If they're withdrawing, what might be behind that? Do they feel isolated or ignored or not valued? And to ask them, well, why do you feel that way? What happened to make you feel that way? Because we want them back in the community. We're human. We need that socialization. We need each other. We are one big tribe. Deaf community partnered with interpreters. We really do need each other. So, like that story that was shared recently, we can't work separately, afraid of each other, putting on our masks and our armor and isolating ourselves. being afraid of others' judgment, it won't work. We really need each other. That means sometimes if we're not comfortable or we have emotions, we have to express those and tell other people. And we also need to listen to others. So emotions are important. We have to. It's really important for us in this work, and we need to work together in order to maintain the relationships. So if you have a relationship with someone, you're married, you have a boyfriend or girlfriend or friends, you have to fight for those relationships. If you never communicate in that relationship, what happens is that you grow apart, there's misunderstandings. Sometimes I have to tell someone, hey, I'm feeling this, and these are the reasons. And I want them to understand my perspective. Sometimes it hurts, but it's worth it because we all need to work together. So the next part I want to discuss is empathy. It's another part of Bowman's model. So empathy means understanding another person's emotions and their perspective, their point of view. Now it's different. It's distinct from sympathy. Sympathy means you feel bad for somebody. Empathy, on the other hand, means that you get them. You understand where they're coming from. You understand their emotions. You understand their experience and their perspective. You understand their humanity. And you're with them in it. How do you recognize emotions if you don't know how to label them? You're just saying, I'm fine all the time. How could you understand other people's emotions? So understanding emotions is important for all interpreters to be able to understand and identify them in the human experience. It doesn't only help us, but it helps us to identify others' emotions while we're interpreting. So the last part is social. So we all have our personal social relationships and also our interpreting relationships.
Hey, let's be nice to each other. Okay, well, let's do our work. You guys have to start us, so let's do our work.
Time runs out really quickly. I have a little bit more to go in this workshop. So it applies to interpreting as well. Imagine if I go into an interpreting situation to work, my body language affects how each client feels. So also if one of the clients has a certain tone of voice, I have to interpret that emotion into ASL. And if the deaf client signs something, I have to interpret that correctly in emotion, correct emotion. Imagine if I'm negotiating and I do that incorrectly, or if I interpret like a robot. I have to include the humanity in that interaction, the emotion, the flow. I have to, that helps them, the clients have that connection. So it's important we as interpreters look toward the future of what interpreting will look like and what interpreters will look like. Why do we interpret? Because of community, of course. That's why we work. For our role, we have to be sure that the clients, both of their experience is a positive one. So of course we have to work on our signing skills and our cultural skills, but also our relational skills and emotional intelligence related to interpreting. So I know nowadays technology is really taking off, right? So, Facebook, Twitter, very superficial communication happening between people. The emotion tends to be gone. So we need to relearn that skill. It's very important. So before I finish, I just want to leave with that statement. You can go into a situation and interpret, and the importance of it is our relationships with others, understanding each other, and being human with each other. So we'll talk more deeply about that later, what that means. Take a step back and talk about what it means to be human, what it means to communicate. Thank you.